again. Welcome to Armageddon Dance Party. I'm your host, Robert Anthony. Hey, thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. How's everybody doing out there? It's been a crazy week. I know. I took last week off, but I spent all my podcasting energy guesting on my father's podcast, the wonderful and popular Alien Probe podcast, available on all leading networks and YouTube now. We talked a lot about the JFK conspiracy, specifically around some of the weird things that were going on with Lee Harvey Oswald. I love the JFK conspiracy. There's so much interesting things to kind of unpack there, and it goes off in all sorts of different directions. It's fascinating whether you believe it or you don't believe it. It's certainly interesting to kind of delve into and go down a rabbit hole. It's a really deep hole, and yeah, I don't know. I was going to make a sexual euphemism. I couldn't quite come up with one, so we'll just leave it like that. So yeah, definitely give that a listen, guys. You can find it just by searching Alien Probe Podcast on YouTube, or you can find it on all the leading networks. So go ahead and give that a listen. I think you'll enjoy it. We're going to start today off with another bit of sad news, another loss, unfortunately. Samuel, a friend of mine from my youth, passed away from complications from heavy drug use. Sam was a good guy. Sam was a funny guy. He wasn't like a close friend of mine, but I knew him through an ex of mine who contacted me and gave me the news, unfortunately, and he had organ failure, similar to what happened to my friend Melissa. He was a user of heroin and meth, amongst other things, and it got the best of him in the end. He was a good guy. He had a good heart. Drugs weren't his only thing. I think with people with heavy addiction problems, you kind of just look at that, and it was obvious he was going through some tough things. Just before he died, his girlfriend died, very similar, drug related. Then his father died, and then shortly after that, he died. It's really sad. Drugs, specifically around like the opioid epidemic, are hurting people all over the place. And there's really nothing you can do when someone is that far gone. You kind of just have to let them figure it out for themselves. And it may take a bit of tough love. You may have to let them go, and that's okay. People will come in and out of your life throughout your entire lifetime. That's one of life's many gifts. And Sam came into my life for a brief amount of time, and we hung out, we partied a little. Meth and heroin. That is an interesting combination to be interested in. Usually when you see somebody who likes drugs, it's one or the other. But those are like two dramatically different drugs that I can't really foresee doing too much. Anyway, it's tough news, and I know my ex Sarah is pretty heartbroken about it, and we've been speaking about it a lot. And me losing some friends recently to the same thing. It's rough, and you got to look at yourself and what you do to your body. I've been hurting myself with alcohol for years, and I don't want to say it's inspirational to keep me on the straight path, but it certainly is a reminder of how easily you can slip just too far and then die. This is the age, like around my age, late 30s, early 40s, when you've been punishing yourself from like your late teens into your 20s and even your 30s, like it starts to catch up to you. When you're fucking around a lot when you're younger, you're like, nothing can happen, I feel invincible. But you start to feel your mortality a bit more as you get a little older, and it starts to become a bigger concern. We're going to miss you, Sam. I didn't know you that well, but I knew you enough to know that you were a very generous, kind soul, and I'm glad to have met you, and I hope that you found peace now. Anyway, let's lighten the mood, shall we? Tony Hinchcliffe. Wow. I guess that means I'm not getting on Kill Tony anytime soon. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan of Tony Hinchcliffe. If you haven't heard, the big news the last few days is Tony Hinchcliffe roasted an Asian comedian and said some like defamatory remarks regarding his race. I'm not going to repeat them. It wasn't a great roast. But, I mean, if you look at Hinchcliffe's background, he was a writer for a lot of those Comedy Central roasts. Oops, excuse me. he was a writer for a lot of those Comedy Central roasts. And if you guys have seen those roasts, the joke that he told about that Asian guy was really no different than those roast style jokes. They bring race into it. It's been a part of roasting, professional roasting, for quite a long time. It's like, you know, whether you're known as a Asian or a slut or a drug addict, like the point of roasting is to roast. You know, you don't roast kindly. And while it wasn't the best roast, it was a cringeworthy roast. It looks like he's getting canceled for it, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, it's not really the answer. This is just creating a whole subgenre of people not needing to be in the industry to be successful. You saw the same thing with Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis gained even more popularity after he was booted off of SNL right after he was announced. I think he's more famous now than he would have been if he would have just kept the SNL job. His sketches are so fucking hilarious. I don't know if you guys are watching Shane Gillis on YouTube or anything, but man, he's got some fucking great sketches. His stand-up is perfect. He's such a good comedian. He's like such a good comedian to look up to. And I think I like Shane Gillis more than Tony Hinchcliffe personally, and I'm not going to join in the pile-on of Tony Hinchcliffe. I think, you know, maybe an apology and, like, let's move on. Like, don't kill Tony. You can't cancel it. It's his show. Worst case scenario, he's just going to do it at, like, Antonio's and no longer do it at the Comedy Store. I mean, you're just going to push another guy into Austin, right? That's all that's going to happen. And, in fact, you may have done him a favor because now more people know Tony Hinchcliffe. A funny side note to that story is I actually got tickets to see Tony Hinchcliffe in October here in Tacoma. And because of COVID, it got pushed to June. So it was actually supposed to be, I think, last weekend. And last week, it was like 2 days before the Tony Hinchcliffe news broke, they sent me a message saying, hey, we got to cancel the Kill Tony show here in Tacoma, so we're just going to refund you your money. So Tony canceled on me, and then he got canceled. You know, if he had not canceled those shows in the Pacific Northwest, and had left Austin for a bit, this might not have even happened. But he was like, basically, dude, Austin's awesome. Fuck going up to Washington. You know, it's kind of the feeling I have about the comedy scene up here. But I don't know, man. If he went up here, I don't think that would have happened, and who knows? So, lesson learned, I guess, right? I don't know if I've mentioned this. I may have mentioned this before. We're on YouTube now. And I've started to put up a lot of content on YouTube, and I am getting some new subs every single day. I really appreciate that. But I'd love it if you would join if you haven't joined already. So yeah, I've got a lot of videos on the YouTube channel back in the day from Twitch. I'm trying to get the content packed in there to raise the limit because I want to get to the monetization portion of YouTube because I am a greedy capitalist pig. So I have to have a certain amount of views and hours viewed, and I also have to have a certain amount of subscribers. So it's a big help. I know even if you guys don't use YouTube that much, if you could go and subscribe to YouTube, I would really appreciate it. If you prefer watching podcasts on YouTube, that's your go-to spot now. I'm no longer on Twitch, and I'm not posting any videos to Twitch anymore. And, you know, you can also stream it. So if you're having trouble getting the links, I did put the socials description inside the socials link inside the description of the podcast. But now I've started to put it in every episode too. So you just got to click that link, my socials link. That'll bring you to my link tree. And it's got everything. It's got the YouTube link. It's got the links to all the different podcast networks. Well, only a couple. I should probably add Deezer there too because India's blowing up. Welcome, India. Thank you so much, India. I got my Hydura bad boys in the fucking click now, right? Yeah. So, India, you guys love me so much. Hop on YouTube. Give me a follow on YouTube. Follow that socials link. I love being on all these different platforms. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I've got analytics hooked up to everything. The analytics shit fascinates the fuck out of me. So I'm constantly checking my analytics. So the Linktree has analytics. I've got my analytics on YouTube. I've got my analytics through my podcast networks. And every day, every morning, I sit up with a cup of coffee and I just go through and like check, you know, where are all my fans coming from? Or my, you know, ex-girlfriends who obviously can't stop clicking on my shit. Whatever, it's fine. I miss you guys too. Overall, I'm feeling really good about kind of where I'm headed, the direction that I'm headed. It's a lot less stressful than like trying to build a community on Twitch. That whole thing, for someone like me, I don't like to manage like a live community. The big problem that I had with Twitch was there was like a lot of stressors to maintain the community and have everybody like you, like constantly right there. You're in the Discord, you're chopping it up, you're live streaming, you got the chat going, you got to say stuff to make them happy. If you're too negative, then they bummed out and they turn on you. I had my whole fucking community turn on me and I turned on them. It was just overall a much more stressful experience than I think it needed to be. With this kind of thing that I'm doing now, there is no live interaction with the community, and I feel like I can respect you guys more, and hopefully you can respect me more as I kind of do this DIY shit, trying to, go up, clout chasing, I guess. Whatever, who cares? It's fine. If you don't like clout chasers, don't fucking listen to me. It's pretty easy. I'm really kind of inspired by Tom McDonald. You guys know this guy? He's fucking dope, dude. He's fucking doing all these rap videos. He's like completely outside of the music industry, and he's just found so much success. You can tell that, he's using a lot of his own tools. He's doing it all himself, but it's very professional looking. And it's like, man, if this guy can do all this himself, just out of his house, like my goals should be more like that. Now, I'm certainly not thinking I'm going to get anywhere near Tom McDonald's level, but the access to technology is really quite inspiring. And I'm hoping, as we go on, you guys are going to see a lot more stuff that I'm going to be putting together and a lot more content that I'm going to be putting together. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody. Another bit of news, the last time I'm going to be performing here in Washington before I move is going to be this coming Tuesday, May 18th. I'm going to be at the Tacoma Comedy Club. I finally got pushed up from open mics into showcases. It happened a lot quicker than it did last time, so that's good news. If you don't know, showcases are like a level up from open mics, where you have a little more seasoned comedians go in and try and wreck shop. I'm the opener, so I ain't that great, but it's good to feel the progress, and it's making me feel really good too. It's a little boost for my self-esteem, and then I go onto YouTube and I see somebody dislike the video, and then that goes away. So the depression's always there. But now you know exactly where I'm going to be at some point. So maybe if you hate me and you want to dislike my videos, why don't you just come and do a good old-fashioned drive-by as I'm walking out of the Tacoma Comedy Club? Do me a favor. I'm so tired of all these goddamn bills. Just put a couple in my head. I feel like we don't even do drive-bys anymore. What's happened to this country? We're just going downhill. You used to hear about drive-bys all the time, right? Now we don't hear about drive-bys hardly ever. It's all mass shootings. I guess with mass shootings, you get more bang for your buck. The drive-by, you might completely miss. With a mass shooting, you could take out a lot of people, but I don't know. You don't hear about drive-bys anymore. I remember when I was in second grade, there was a kid who was in my class. He was like a fucking super dork. And I wasn't a dork when I was a kid. This second grade, I was probably a very cool second grader. But this guy was a dork. Until he came into school and he got hit in a drive-by. He wasn't the target, I'm pretty sure. That would be pretty weird to target a second grader in a drive-by. But he took a little. Like he took one in the arm. And the funniest thing is he took a bullet in the arm and he came back to his dad made him come back to school after 2 days. You got shot and you're back. Can you imagine? You get shot and you're back in school in fucking 2 days. That's how we did shit back in the day. Nowadays, if a kid got shot in a drive-by, he'd probably get to take the rest of the year off school and would just get immediate straight A's. But back in my day, old daddy would say, you know what? You're good enough. You got a Band-Aid on it. You don't got a bullet in you anymore. Just get the fuck back to your studies. But yeah, after he came back, he was like a fucking hero. He started to be one of the coolest guys in school just because he got shot. And I remember being kind of jealous. Like, man, I wish I got shot. But, I still... even at 39, have never taken a bullet. So, I guess that's something to be proud of, right? But you could change that. You could change it. So I am moving. I've got a date. I'm not going to tell you. It's pretty soon, though. Finding a place in Austin was actually much more difficult than I had anticipated. When I first decided to move to Washington, my original plan was just to buy something up here. And I was like, you know what if I don't really like it? I'm just going to rent. And that was a good move because as I'm coming up on a year here, I can't stand this fucking place. I can't wait to leave. So I'm going to do the same thing in Austin. I'm just going to rent a place first and then figure out if I want to stay. I'm pretty sure I'm going to feel better about Austin than I am here, because just being there that one time, like I came up here a few times and it was kind of just mad. There was a couple of reasons why I really wanted to come up here, but those aren't really relevant anymore. But Austin itself, the environment, I just loved it. And one of the reasons it took me so long to find a place to rent was a lot of people are moving there right now. And I wanted someplace close to downtown. So I actually found a place in a cul-de-sac that I can walk to 6th Street from. And if you don't know 6th Street, it's like the cool area. And so there's going to be a lot of bars. I'm not drinking, but there's going to be a lot of mics. And there's the comedy clubs are just starting to reopen. So I'm juiced. Like I'm getting there at the perfect time. I'm juiced not only to like perform regularly, like it'll be so great to be in a place where I could do mics every single night. That's fucking awesome. I hate just having to wait for like a week before I can perform. So being able to have like a routine, going out every night, finding mics, and then hopefully networking and meeting other people. That's another thing I'm really excited about. For the first time in my life, I'm really excited to make a new gang of friends. Usually I'm like a lone wolf, but I feel like I'm getting a little better at that now. So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, the one thing is this place doesn't have a backyard. I did have to make a sacrifice for that, and old Biffy's going to be a little disappointed not having a backyard. However, it is right around the corner from a dog park. So as I'm working out my new routine, the morning dog park, maybe hit up a meeting, then start working because I'm going to be 2 hours ahead. So, I'm going to have a lot of free time in the morning before I actually have to start work and get my head down. So I will go ahead and take care of that in the morning, take Biff to the dog park, and then maybe even, right before I go out for the night to perform, I'll take him on one more trip to the dog park because it's so close. I think that's going to be a good move. I don't like moving, though. Like, I like being in new places. I'm definitely a nomad. But the process of moving can be a bit stressful. I've gotten rid of a lot of shit. I've been doing Craigslist listings. So I've got it down. And I had like 3 different plans, and I thought I had settled on getting a U-Haul and then towing the 67 and then having my mom drive my Jeep. But then once I started pricing it out, I found out in reality it's much cheaper for some reason. I like save thousands of dollars this way if I get a moving company. Like the moving company with one of those trucks, a smaller truck, because I sold a lot of my stuff, will come pack up my shit for me and will meet me in Austin. And then I have an open air car transport service that's going to take the 67, and then I just drive the Jeep. I'll be faster than both of them, obviously, because they're going to be hauling, and there's like limits. They can't drive more than 8 hours a day. So I'm going to be doing like 12-hour days. So I'll get there ahead of time and I'll pack like a bag of necessities. And then have Biff barfing in the back seat the entire time. It's going to be a great time. Me and Biff on the road. Maybe we'll stop somewhere cool. We'll stop like once every trip, and he can run around and get a little fresh air too. I'm not looking forward to the drive though. And I've been packing, and I don't really like packing. I don't want to have to do this every single fucking year anymore. I remember one time, the moving got me so stressed out that I went pretty heavy in the bag and fucking started boozing up pretty heavy. I was in this place called Sherman Oaks. It's in SoCal. It's in the Valley. And then my moving day came up, and I was too drunk to move anything. And like the thing was, before I decided to move, my landlady had said, "Hey, you can sign another year lease, and I'll give you discounted rent." And I'm like, "No way, I'm getting the hell out of here," because I was moving to Glendale. But I got too drunk to move. But she had already rented the place out. So I was like, I need another day. And I did this for like 3 days, and she was like, "You need to get the fuck out, or we're getting the fucking law involved." I was like, fine. But I was still getting hammered. So I hired a moving company. And I just sat in my recliner drinking. And they're just like looking at me. I'm just getting hammered. And they're just like moving all my shit out. And the last thing they took was the recliner. And then they were like, "Okay, we'll meet you at the new place." And I was like, "Oh, can I ride with you?" They're like, "No, you can't ride with us." I'm like all drunk and shit. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And so I couldn't drive. So I still had to leave my car there. And dude, the landlady was pissed. I made this such a big hassle. I'm surprised she had so much to deal with me. That whole place was an entire experience. It was definitely my worst renting experience. And I won't go into too many details regarding that. So she finally got rid of me, but not my car. It took like another 2 weeks for me to actually be able to go and get my car. So I took a Lyft to the new place, and I just arrived. And I'm like, I'm here to move in. They're like, oh, we were expecting you a few days ago. I was like, it's a long story. And like, I was so drunk, I couldn't fill out the paperwork or anything. I was like, she was like, the lady at the new place was like, well, you need your proof of renter's insurance. I was like, I don't know how to do that. She's like, you just call and I was like, can you just do it, please? She's like, yeah, it's fine. She was like, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with this guy? I'm sure. And so she got my insurance. The first thing the guys moved in was the recliner. I sat in it and like immediately passed out. And the guys just moved my stuff in, except for a GoPro camera, which went mysteriously missing. I think they took it, but whatever, it's fine. I gave them a good tip, you know. I was kind of a hassle to deal with, and but I'm grateful I got everything moved in. They didn't unpack anything, so I was still pretty deep in the bag for a couple of weeks until I don't know, my body gave out on me. I was like in the courtyard of this. This was like a really nice place too, you guys. Like, you guys have no idea how embarrassed I am about this. This was like probably the nicest place that I ever lived, and it had all these amenities and pools and spas, and it had its own arcade and like its own golf simulator. It was insanely nice. And I was just this drunk guy wandering around, and my body gave out on me in the courtyard. I passed out fucking face first on my face on the cement, and I still have tinnitus. Like, it gave me tinnitus. I hit my head so hard. I'm lucky I didn't fucking die or get like brain damage. All I remember is like the security surrounding me and waking me up. And they're like, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And then they knew I was drunk. They could tell I was drunk. They're like, we need to get you to your room, sir. And I was like, okay. And they're like, where do you live? And I couldn't remember the apartment that I lived in. I was so fucked up. And they were like, Jesus Christ, does this guy even live here? I'm like, I totally live here. So they had to figure out which apartment I lived in. They took me back and they basically just like pushed me in to my apartment and closed the door. And he was like, get some sleep. I was like, okay. I'm so thankful they didn't fucking call the cops on me. That would have been bad. But yeah, it was that moment. Like, as I sat there, I sat in bed for like a day, and my ear was ringing hella bad, and it still does ring occasionally from that fucking face smash I did into the ground. And that was like my fucking rock bottom moment. I ended up getting sober for a really long time after that. Of course, I didn't for a while, but now I'm back on it. Feeling great. Well, I got lots of funny, embarrassing, sad, cringy, drunk stories for sure. So the world's opening back up finally. That's kind of crazy, right? Feels weird. They announced the masks aren't necessary anymore. That's kind of cool. But like, all the signs say that masks are still required. And I guess the rule is the businesses make the rules. And if they want you to still wear masks, they can, which is fine. I respect it. But I kind of decided to tempt the rules. I went down to 7-Eleven and grabbed some Coke Zeros. And I had the mask in my pocket. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to wear it today. Like, I'm not fully vaccinated, but I feel confident enough. And I've got my second shot in, I don't know, like I think another 2 weeks or a week and a half, I guess. But I was feeling so confident that I was like, you know what, I'm just not going to wear it. I just want to see what happens. And everybody else in there was wearing a mask, and I wasn't. And I walked around, you know, with an air of confidence. Like, come on, guys. I was almost like leading my troops. Like, look, we can do this again. Like, we can take the mask off. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody asked me to put a mask on. Nobody even gave me a dirty look. And I think maybe I gave a little inspiration to those other people to go, you know what, maybe it's time. Maybe I can take this mask off. We've been in these masks for so long now, you guys. You know, it's kind of weird. It was weird that it felt ballsy to not wear a mask in 7-Eleven. And that's kind of where we're at right now. But I'm happy that I'm moving right at this time. Things aren't as hectic or as crazy. And I'm going to be able to move to a place that's like completely reopened and like immediately dive into what I want to do. I want to get more into comedy, and I want to do sketches. Dude, I am so excited to start doing sketches. This is why the networking is so important. Like, I want to meet other like-minded people that want to do sketches too. I've been just starting to play around with video editing software because I know eventually, like, I'm going to have to know that a lot. And I pick up software pretty quick, so I don't think it's going to be a big problem. And it's good, you know, it gives me something new to do besides just sit around and play video games, and it feels like it's productive and also supplements, you know, my love of comedy and stuff. So that's where, these YouTube videos are coming from. I'm playing a little bit with the video editing software. I started with B-Cut, which is kind of just like this basic bitch video editing software. But now I've moved on to Premiere Pro, which is like way more complicated. But when I get to the sketches, I'm going to need something more complex with more features than something like B-Cut gives me. So that's why I'm really trying to master it now, and it gives me something to do in my free time when I'm not packing and selling shit on Craigslist. It's weird, though. I really feel like if we didn't get COVID at this time, Trump probably would have won again. I really think, like, the guy was so Teflon, like, nothing stuck to him. He was so invincible. And then COVID happened, and that was just too much. I think that was kind of the breaking point for him, because it was something that he couldn't kind of brush off. It was something that he couldn't kind of just say, this is fake news. And it was the thing that brought him down, for better or for worse. I know there's a lot of people out there that are really happy that he lost. I'm indifferent. I voted for Trump, but I wasn't like a huge Trump fan. I just really didn't like Biden. Boy, you Democrats got screwed with that, huh? A lot of times with these dark horse candidates like Bernie Sanders or Ron Paul, really the idea, I feel like the only reason they're even taken seriously in the primaries is to get the youth vote energized about their candidate and get them so excited and so into it that when they eventually lose, they're already so invested in the process. They go, oh, well, I might as well vote for like the stationary or the standard candidate, even though the dark horse is out, Get all these fucking hardcore leftists and fucking hippies and bullshit all excited about Bernie Sanders and then pull the rug out from under you at the last second and go, no, schmucks, why don't you fucking vote for Biden? You have to. Look at all this work we've already done. And he like kind of weakly commits to implementing some of Sanders' policies. And he's obviously not going to do anything like that in the long run. He's just another fucking rank and file elitist. It is what it is. So I watched the Adam Sandler Netflix special again for the first time in a while, 100% fresh. If you guys haven't seen that special, oh my God, you owe it to yourselves to watch it. It's seriously, and it's a few years old now, but I think it's probably one of the best comedy specials of all time. Even if you're not a huge Adam Sandler fan, younger people probably don't like Adam Sandler as much as older folks that like I do. Of course, with Uncut Gems, that like gave him a whole bunch of new fans. But like this special is so good, it's so unique. Really, you guys should watch it. My favorite part is the Chris Farley song, and every time I see him perform the song, I get like all teared up. And like sometimes I actually like full on cry. And I don't usually cry. I'm not a big crier. But damn, there's something about that song that like really, really makes me so sad. But it's so good. I'm a huge Chris Farley fan. He got on SNL when I was like, I guess I was in elementary school, and he was on it all the way up until I was in high school, or junior high maybe. And when he died, like I felt that. I used to stay up real late on Saturday nights to watch SNL, mostly for Farley. I really, really loved Farley. And when he died, like, it was a huge shock to me. He was so talented, like just so incredibly talented. Like I've read his autobiography, which is, or is it biography? He didn't write it. Which one is it? Look, you know what I'm talking about. The book about him. And it's also really like heart-wrenching to hear his story, because he's just, I mean, I never met him, but he just seemed like such a nice guy. And there's never been like anybody says anything really bad about him. They just say, he had his demons, but it's such a sad story, And I've recently kind of just been on a binge, and that's how I ended up watching the Sandler special again, because I was watching so much Chris Farley material on YouTube, and I decided to watch the Sandler special again, and then I remembered, like, oh my God, this is such a good special. But I've been binging lots of Chris Farley stuff that I like had forgotten about forever. If you're younger and you don't know Chris Farley, like, you really owe it to yourself. Just give it 5 minutes, go on YouTube and look up SNL Japanese game show. It's probably, I would say it's probably one of my favorites, if not my favorite SNL sketch of all time. You know, a lot of SNL shit nowadays is kind of shitty. I thought the Elon Musk episode was better than I expected, but it still wasn't amazing. Back in the day, you guys, back in like the 90s, fucking SNL was awesome. And it's kind of lost its magic. But the Japanese game show is so funny. Of course, his Matt Foley skits are pretty good. There's some that aren't that great, but like the original one with like Christina Applegate, that one's really, really good too. But if you haven't checked out Chris Farley, you really owe it to yourself. Just spend a few minutes going through some of his best work. It's all on YouTube on the SNL channel. It's so good. And I think you'll agree that he was just an incredible talent. So recently, there's been... dude, I live in such a shithole area. There's been like this huge mail stealing scheme. And I don't like to get my mail. Usually I'll leave my mail out there for like a week, maybe 2 weeks before I go get it. So I don't like bills. And I harp on this a lot. Like I don't like paying bills. I'm not good at paying bills. Like my bills are always late and shit. So I just don't like doing it. So I usually leave the mail out there for a while, but then somebody broke into my fucking mailbox and like stole all my mail. And that like really irritated me. And then it's been all over the news. There's like all sorts of mail thieves out. I think it started because of the stimulus check. I don't know. They were sending out physical checks, something. But all of a sudden, my whole neighborhood, these mailboxes are just getting broken into in the middle of the night. So I was like, okay, Biff, you know, it's time for you to start earning your keep. You know, usually Biff would sleep in the bedroom with me. I have a little doggy bed for him in the corner, and he just passes out there. But I told him, you know, it's time to grow up. You're the guard dog. Because he loves watching outside. Once he got big enough, he started like poking his nose under the blinds and just standing up and looking out the window. And he'll do this for hours. He'll just lay out there in the living room during the day, and as soon as he hears something outside, he'll poke his head out and then just start looking. And you know, he's gotten into his guard dog mode where he like barks if someone's getting too close to the house, or someone's walking a dog, etc. So I started putting him out in the living room when I went to bed. And lo and behold, you know, he started barking at like 2 o'clock in the morning, woke me up. And there was a car just outside, just sitting there. And some lady it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Some lady gets out with a dog and starts walking the dog down the street. She's parked right in front of my house. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? What's going on? And so I stay up because I'm worried that this is like another mailbox thief. And then I noticed there's other people out there. And they're like, I could see like lighters. It was dark in the car, but like there was lighters firing up. And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on out here? Are they fucking tweaking or what? So I go out there and they immediately like the lighters go off. And I don't go up to the car because I'm like, look, I'm not going to fucking get in a fight when I'm in my Star Wars pajamas. Like this isn't going to be good. And then they drove away. But isn't that weird? Who the fuck just drives, parks in front of someone's house at 2 o'clock in the morning and then takes their dog for a walk while other people are in the car? What was with that? Strange. Whatever. I'm probably just paranoid. I got a lot of fucking alts looking at my Instagram shit. At least I think they're alts. Like, I'm getting a little more Instagram growth. And I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I guess I should be happy for it, right? But I'm always suspicious of everything. I'm a little paranoid, and that's all right. That's just who I am. I accept it, you know, and I try not to let it take over my life. But, you know, mailbox thieves and alts. If you're not familiar with an alt is like an obvious fake Instagram account to, like, you create it so you can, like, look at people's Instagrams and you don't want them to know who you really are. I mean, I'm fucking really good at spotting an alt. Alts are pretty easy to spot. They're like an account with like 1 or 2 pictures. They just got created and like they don't add any content, but they add you as a friend and then they just look at every single story you post. It's kind of fucking weird, right? And I mean, I've got suspicions on why certain people would be creating alts to look at my shit. But there was just this one recently where I looked at it and I'm like, who in the fuck is this person? And so finally I just blocked him. Like I sent him a message. I was up late and like noticing they were looking at my stories. I started to send him a message. I'm like, do I know you? And they left me on red and continued to look at all my stories. So I'm like, okay, I'm blocking you, obviously. You're not even like a fake account trying to get me to look at porn or whatever. You're just looking at my stories. I don't understand the concept of an alt. Like if you don't want to talk to me from your real account, like, then just stop looking at my shit or just follow me from your regular account. It's not that difficult. I don't know what you're trying to prove by creating all these fake accounts just so you can, like, look at my shit. I don't know, man. It's kind of annoying. Of course, I am a huge hypocrite. I make my own alts, and I spy on other people, too. But I'm a fucking master at making an alt. Dude, if I got an alt to spy on you, you will not know that it's an alt. It'll look legit. I'm not going to tell you my methods. But they are certainly better than the ones these fucking alts are fucking doing to look at me. This is an outrage. Have some fucking respect, at least, and fucking put some effort into it. Of course, got to give a quick shout out to my beloved Oakland Athletics, currently the leaders in the AL West with 24 games. One, nipping at their heels, of course, is the dreaded Houston Astros with 22 games won. Man, I love the fucking A's. I have been an A's fan since as long as I can remember. My entire family's from the East Bay, and we've all been hardcore A's fans. I used to go to games when I was really young. One time I was at a game, I want to say I was like 7 or 8 years old, and we were in the cheap seats, the bleachers. But of course, right in front of us in the outfield was Jose Canseco. Many people have mixed feelings about Jose and even Mark McGwire, the infamous Bash brothers. But man, living during that time, the Battle of the Bay, the rivalry with the Giants was so hot. It was a great time to be alive. Anyway, at this game, we were yelling for Jose to throw me the ball. My mom was yelling and her boyfriend was yelling, and not harassing, but like just super fans, right? And at the I want to say it was the top of the 9th or maybe the top of the 8th, him and Henderson would practice a little, throw the ball back and forth before the inning started, and he dude, I swear to God, he threw the ball to me, but I didn't catch it like a fucking idiot, and it bounced off the bleacher, and another guy grabbed it, and Jose Canseco pointed at that guy and yelled at him, "Hey, it's for that kid!" And the guy gave me the ball. It was so fucking cool. Of course, we waited outside to try and get a signature from him after the game. He came out with some fucking supermodel with super 80s hair, and it didn't pay me any mind whatsoever, but it was still such a cool memory. Love him or hate him, he got the shit beat out of him in that rough and rowdy boxing match a few months back. But I'll always be a hardcore Jose Canseco fan. Yay, scumbag, piece of shit, dark snitch, whatever. He's still Jose fucking Canseco. Oh, man. Yeah, but they're doing really good this year. Of course, they always do really good at the start of the season. And inevitably something fucks up. Either fucking, they just gas out towards the end or what. But, I got to think one of these days we're going to get another fucking championship or at least a division. Again, it's been a few years since we even got a division. But I think I'm hoping this is the year. Let's go, Oakland. Let's go. Caitlyn Jenner, not polling great. Caitlyn Jenner, I believe in the last Gallup poll, was polling at 6% across California, with only 13% of registered Republicans in the state saying they'd vote for her. Obviously, there's probably some transphobia in there. Conservatives are not known for their support of trans people. However, I'd like to think that California conservatives are a bit more progressive. So hopefully that won't hurt her in the long run. Of course, Trump in 2016 had terrible numbers when he first started, and he was persistent. So, if Trump can do it, you got to think Caitlyn can do it. She recently released a new campaign video just today. It's Saturday. And I watched it, and it was inspirational. It kind of made me sad that I'm not in California anymore to vote for her. I would totally vote for her. I think that she could bring some fresh air to California politics. Last conservative we had in was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and, he didn't fuck things up too bad. I think Caitlyn would do an even better job. We got to get that fucking guy Newsom out of there, man. He's such a fucking piece of shit. He is a piece of shit. That French Laundry thing, man, resign. As soon as that happened, he should have fucking resigned. What a fucking asshole, making everybody stay in their house, and he's out in the French Laundry, no masks, in a restaurant, having fucking dinner with a bunch of other elitists. Like, the balls on this guy, dude. He's so fucking ineffective. He has fucked California up. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think that his handling of the coronavirus epidemic is going to hurt his chances to ever run for president. I think he won't be able to do it, but if anybody could do it, this fucking greasy scumbag can. Anyway, let's get him out of the my California listeners, let's get him the fuck out of Sacramento. And why not try Caitlyn? Try her on. I mean, who cares if she's trans? Like, she's got a lot of good points, right? I say go for it. Let's go, Caitlyn. So that about wraps it up for today's episode. I really appreciate all the support that I'm getting, and I'm going to keep going. I know I can't get up to an hour yet. I'm trying to go a little longer every time. We're at around 40 minutes this time. I'm going to get to an hour at some point, I promise. But I don't want to bore you guys. I don't want to talk just to talk. I'm trying to make some good points here and keep you guys entertained. Again, if you haven't gone to the YouTube channel yet, please go to the YouTube channel and give me a subscription and keep listening. We'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.